today about trauma in childhood and the symptoms you might experience as an adult. Now, the reason I want to talk about this subject matter today is because when I was a young adult, I had all of these symptoms, and no one told me that they could be what they were. And so I was misdiagnosed, I self-medicated, I did a lot of things to try and deal with the pain of what I felt and had no understanding of what it was. Now, the first symptom that I had was no memories of the majority of my childhood. I had a few scattered here and there, but the majority under age 9 really didn't have many at all. There were even parts that were just completely blacked out, especially certain parts. So that was my first symptom that I didn't know was a symptom of trauma. If you have blank memories in your childhood, that may be, now this is all mays, this may be a symptom of trauma. The next symptom I had was I started using a coping mechanism for control. I chose eating disorder. Some people choose cutting. Some choose, they start drugs and alcohol early. There's a lot of different ways kids learn to cope. Mine was an eating disorder. The third one, which I mentioned slightly, but I started getting into trying to numb the pain. When the eating disorder was no longer working to kind of dull those feelings, whatever they were, I started drinking on the weekends to kind of numb the pain. Then I got into boys, and I wasn't necessarily promiscuous, but I used relationships as power. I had to have the power in the relationship in order for me to feel okay. And I never quite understood it. So by the time I was in my early 20s, I was using men, I was drinking, I was just doing anything not to be quiet and think. If that's you and you're in your 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, and you're still trying to figure out why things have developed from your childhood, you may have had trauma in your childhood. My memories were repressed until I was in my 30s. They came back when I did some therapeutic work, and they came back on their own at a time when I wasn't expecting it. But repressed memories also, we call blank childhood memories, are a part of childhood trauma. So these are just some of the symptoms of childhood trauma. There are many others. There's many different coping mechanisms. So if you can imagine all the different ways people cope or try to gain control, if you've done something like that growing up and you're not sure why, that may be an indication that you had childhood trauma. So if you're struggling with trying to figure out your childhood, trying to figure out your adult patterns, childhood trauma results in adult patterns. Another one of the patterns that I didn't mention that is a symptom is self-talk growing up. If you find at 12, 13, 14, you were very down on yourself, you talk negatively constantly about yourself, and you don't know why, that may be a sign that you had childhood trauma. If you talk down to yourself because your parents always talk down to you, that may be another factor. But self-talk is another one to keep aware of. And if you're an adult now and you're struggling with negative self-talk, you might want to look into why that is. And it all, when we look back at childhood, it's not I don't look back so I can have the whole story. I look back so I can put all the puzzle pieces together. If you're an adult and you're in a certain pattern of behavior, a certain pattern of relationships, and that it's a repeated pattern and you don't understand it and you've never looked at your childhood, it may be that you can figure that out in a short amount of time just by therapeutically looking into your childhood. But it's really important, especially for generational patterns. What we're seeing a lot of, what I see a lot of, is generational patterns. You'll see something in a grandparent, and then you see it in the parent, and then you see it in the child, and then you see it in the grandchild. And it's just, some of my cases are 4 generations I can trace things back to. And you want to make sure that you're passing on healthy generational patterns. People, this is how we break generational patterns, by looking at this stuff. It's not all hokey malokey. It's so we don't pass it down to our kids and our grandkids. So if you've never dug into your past and you have patterns that are concerning to you, or patterns that run throughout your family that are concerning to you, please reach out to me at Linda Beatty's Life Coaching and Counseling. I'd be happy to help you. Please subscribe to my YouTube channel and follow us on Facebook and Instagram. We'd love to hear from you, and we hope that you will think about what we said today and really look into your generational patterns and possible childhood trauma. Okay? Thanks so much and have a wonderful day.